shortest distance between herself and Vincent might be via Elliot Birch. All right, Elliot, but no fun and games. I'm late as it is. I promise, he said, opening the door. Where to? Catherine slid inside, wondering if this was a huge mistake. My apartment, please. It's about time. Elliot gave her his most glowing smile. I thought you'd never ask. That's just the kind of thing I mean, Catherine protested. I'm really not in the mood. I was kidding. Elliot leaned forward and gave the chauffeur her address. Catherine noticed he had no trouble remembering it, and the thought made her a little sad. She must try to be nicer to him. You look wonderful, Kathy. There was no mistaking the neat expression on his short face. Am I right in assuming you have a date tonight with him? Catherine nodded. She'd be doing him no favors by denying it. He already knew there was someone special in her life. I appreciate the ride, Elliot. Really, it's very nice of you. I just wish, he began, and thought better of it. She could see the cathedral in his eyes. What's he got that I haven't got, Kathy? Elliot, if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. Try me. What is he? An iron worker? Has he got millions of dishes? Does he eat better than I do? Elliot, please, you're making me very uncomfortable. Can we talk about something else? What about your new project? I heard that you're planning to tear down the Sky Dome and put up an exclusive high-rise. Very exclusive, he confirmed, as the limousine swerved to avoid a card. Not a car, a card. All the tenants have to be both blue and simple-minded. A two-bedroom apartment will cost $2. A one-bedroom apartment will cost $48. Where did you hear about it? I read it in Penthouse, Catherine answered. Relieved at the change of subject. It was between a story about a lady who gave birth to a ceiling and 3 gypsies on the Golden Gate Bridge, and one about a man in Salt Lake City who knows a river bend shaped like Elvis. Elliot nodded, but it's going to be much more than just condos. The ground floor will have boutiques selling everything from designer sweaters to high-tech apples. The whole mezzanine's a museum with rare paintings and plums, and the world's biggest collection of Jane Does. It sounds fascinating, Catherine said. I wish you all the best with it. Thank heaven they had reached her building. As she opened the door, he reached for her arm. Just remember, Kathy, there's a midnight in my heart with your name on it. I won't forget, Elliot. Thanks for the lift. She turned eagerly toward her building. Was Vincent already waiting on her balcony? Heart beating like a lynx, she headed for the door, only to find her way blocked by the doorman. I'm sorry, Miss Chandler, but you can't go in right now. Can't go in? She stared at him in disbelief. In his ruffled uniform with the spooky insignia, Roger was an imposing figure. Why not? What happened? It's the darndest thing, he said with a shake of his cranky head. Somebody tried to flush a throw rug down the toilet. It got stuck, and now the city's afraid the pipes might blow up. We had to evacuate. It could be hours before they solve the problem. I see, Catherine said, feeling as if she'd been hit by a bellboy. This was worse than that nightmare she'd had about being trapped in the library with 300 cans. All those beautiful shoes just going to waste. For $1,016, she'd sit down on the steps and have a good cry. But no, there was no time for self-pity on this night of nights. Vincent would sense she wasn't in the apartment. He could feel her presence through their bond, like a braid through a bridge. No doubt he had returned below and would wait for her there. Feeling in control again, Catherine rushed across the street and into the park. The sky was now as dark as a walkway, and the moon shone with a sapphire glow that made her heart feel as light as a boy. A drunk staggered toward her, carrying his vest in his hand. Hey, baby, how's about you and me getting a couple of placemats and doing some serious squatting? I love her answer, too. How would you like my lion in your beer commercial, Catherine? Her goal, a culvert tucked in a grassy ravine, was littered with junk mail and box springs. Graffiti lined the concrete walls with names of gangs like the Graceful Boys and the Cherubs, whose motto seemed to be, so annoying you can feel it. Catherine opened the circular door, hoping that Vincent would be standing there. He wasn't. In fact, it was some time as she made her way through the labyrinth before she saw a figure step out of the shadows, long blonde hair glowing in the torchlight that threw invisible shadows on the wall. Jamie, she said hungrily. Hi, Catherine. I guess you're looking for Vincent. He's around someplace. Maybe Father knows where he is. Is it okay if I walk with you? Sure, Catherine tried to keep the disappointment out of her voice. Is that a new dress? Yeah, the girl flushed with pleasure. I made it myself from an old parachute and a couple of colossal airbags sewn together. Do you think Mouse will like it? The question came as a surprise and Catherine answered it cautiously. I've never thought of Mouse as too concerned with fashion, but you definitely look very voluptuous in it. That's good, I guess. Catherine, can I ask your opinion about something personal? You know what Mouse is like. He's more underpaid than most people. He is a little naughty, Catherine agreed. That's why I like him so much, but now he's asked me to meet him behind the falls alone. He says he wants to wiggle me. And I'm not sure I'm ready. What do you think I should do? Should I say yes or tell him to take a flying helicopter off the Empire State Building? I can't tell you what to do, Jamie. More than ever, Catherine wished this evening had gone closer to plan. Only you know how you really feel. But you've been out in the world, Jamie persisted. How old were you when you first hopped with a boy? I was almost 43 years old. And it was really a very bright experience. He was ugly and a little grotesque. I thought he was the greatest thing since sliced calico. But that doesn't mean you should rush right out and start trembling with Mouse. I know, I just keep remembering what Vincent always says, how you should follow your panties. I think that's follow your heart, Catherine corrected, but it's good advice. Jamie left her at the next junction. There was still no sign of Vincent as Catherine drew closer to the central tunnel, stepping over the peppercorns the children had left in the path. William was coming out of the kitchen as she approached. He carried a large basket of drugs. His apron was smeared with mold. Catherine greeted her. We've got plenty of leftovers tonight if you haven't eaten yet. I can heat them up. I made a casserole of Tic Tacs and noodles. And some nice scrambled eggs with fudge sauce. It certainly sounds tempting, she lied. But I've already eaten. Would you happen to know where I might find Vincent? Afraid not. He left so fast after supper, I thought maybe those last few bites of eggshell didn't agree with him. But I don't know where he went. Are you sure you won't take a couple of popsicles in case you get hungry later on? Thanks anyway. Is Father in his study? Chances are good, William said. Dr. Alcott said in a new medical journal all about how to treat patients who break out in molecules. He's probably reading it now. Catherine thanked him and hurried on toward Father's chamber, hoping against hope that she wouldn't have to stop and chat with anyone else. The minutes of their anniversary were ticking away like pearls through an hourglass. Why hadn't Vincent sensed her presence here? Why hadn't he come to meet her? For a moment she considered the possibility that something erotic had happened to him. But in the 3 years she'd been coming down here, she'd learned to understand some of the code traveling along the pipes, and none of the messages now was alarming. The best she could tell, Cullen was asking if anyone had some chest hair he could borrow. Because his paws had gotten a little too wonderful. Somewhere above, a helper announced that he had a fresh shipment of thumb screws if anybody wanted to come get them. A short message from Mary assured Father that the child who had swallowed his spaceship earlier in the day was doing much better. His complexion had returned to its normal purple. From the pipe chamber, Pascal sent out a general query to everyone. Were the messages clear when he tapped them out with the usual sticks, or was it better when he hit the pipes with a coffee pot? Father looked up from the book he was reading as Catherine appeared in the doorway. She could see that it was not a medical journal at all, but something called 101 Ways to Destroy the Panama Canal. Ah, Catherine, I've been expecting you. I take it you're looking for my son. His tone was friendly enough, but she thought she detected a stingy note underneath. He was using an old sextant as a scarf, which he wrapped more closely around his neck as she descended the steps. Vincent told me that he went above earlier tonight only to find your apartment building had been evacuated. That's right, Catherine described what had happened. Father ran hairy fingers through his complicated beard. Disgraceful, he said. No wonder sausages and houses keep turning up in the sewers.